All right, so just a quick hazar of where we left off yesterday.
It's over in 50 minutes.
Just a quick hazar of where we left off yesterday, okay? So Chaim created for himself a... Okay, so what was Chaim's main point yesterday before we get to the question? His main point, again, to emphasize this, is that the reason why the Katan, there's a key in mitzvah by the Katan, is because he relates to the Korban Pesach through the substratum Hakrabas Korban that exists. Okay, in other words, the generic Korban exists prior to the onset of the obligation. Okay, that was the main point. All right, now there's only one problem though. What's the problem that we left off with yesterday? What's the problem? All right, so take a look at the Gemaras.
So
So you look at the Gemara Pesach and page Zayin and Aleph. Oh, that's the first one you guys have there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Mishnah. So the Mishnah says, it's like halfway down, Yosom sheshachtu alav apitropos. All right, so what's that case?
an orphan. No, it's the orphan and the person in charge of the orphan, the caretaker,
the guardian
of the orphanage.
Right. Okay, now let's remember something. How many Korban Pesachs is he shechting?
Uno. He's doing
one for those guys and one for...
Doesn't matter, a bunch. In other words, he's got an orphanage of, let's say, 100 orphans. So what's he going to do?
Another one.
The Mishnah says, Yasam sheshachtu lapitropos, yochel b'makom shehu rotzeh. Okay, now what does yochel b'makom shehu rotzeh mean?
Oh, he's able...
That means is that he can eat of any korban that he wishes to. Okay, notice like this. The Yasam can eat whichever korban he wants. Okay?
Oh.
He doesn't have to. It doesn't matter which.
Specifying like this Korban is for a Jim and Jack and whatever.
No, okay, 1 second. But what kind of katan is this? What kind of yasam is this? It's a katan. All right. So take a look at Peichas. Go to the Gemara. Go to the next page. All right.
Cut the and slip.
So the Gemara says in Peichas Amarav, Shmas mina yesh brera. All right. So the Gemara has a question. Maybe you'll say this brera. What's brera mean in Korban? What's brera? What's brera? Brera. Yesh brera. Yeah.
You brought it and then you decided afterwards who it was for.
So you would think that means that the Yasam retroactively can attach himself to the Korban. And the Gemara says no. Amar of Zera, Selabayas Mikol Makom. That's Daraisa. But what does Selabayas Mikol Makom means? It means the Katan.
Even on the outside he's good.
Right. Okay, so what is... Now, think about it. Take a look at... is there Rashi in this? Yeah, Rashi.
What do you mean Yishbria?
Yishbria means that... Rashi says, Shehovra Shabazen Nisratze B'Shah Shchita Ilu Hodiyu. It's a retroactive minui. Meaning that, like, he can say, I want to take from that korban, and therefore, retroactively speaking, we could say he was part of that minui. Forget the question about how many works, okay? Because that's a separate thing. Okay? But the Gemara says, no, that's not the answer. The answer is, Selabayas Mikol Makom. Okay, which means what? Rashi, Selabayas, Ish Balabayas, Yikachenu l'chol b'nei beso, ve'ein sarach daitan.
Where's this?
This is what Rashi says. Ish Balabayas Yikachenu, right? The master of the house will take l'chol b'nei beso for all the members of his house, right? Ve'ein sarach daitan, and they don't need.
He doesn't need like specific knowledge.
Right. So I come home and say, hey guys, I'm bringing a korban on your behalf. And my son doesn't hear me, doesn't matter. The minui exists. What's the source of the minui in Gemara Pesachim?
What kind of question is this? That's why Kol and not just Livnei?
Means everybody's included. Everybody's included, including Katanim. Even though it goes against their das. Okay? And then Gemara then says, Tan Rabbanan, Selabayis Lamish Adam maybe V'shochet Alidei Bino V'ito Katanim. Alright? Etc. Etc. Okay, so at this point, the Gemara Pesachim tells you what? What's the source of minui for people in your family? D'oraisa. From the Torah. Now, go to the Gemara Nedarim. What daf is it? Nedarim, Lam Vav Amud Aleph. Alright, where did I mark off for you guys?
Elo me'ata.
So the Gemara says this. The Gemara says, Elo me'ata. Where's that? Me'ata, Yovi Adam Pesach HaChavero. So based on this, now the Gemara before was dealing with bringing korbanos, alright, for other people on their behalf without their knowledge. Okay? So the Gemara says, you would think that, what could you do here by Korban Pesach? You would think that, Elama'ata, Yavi Adam Pesach HaChavero, Shekein Adam Mevi Abanav Abnosav Aktanim. Right? So what would you think? You would think that I could bring a Korban, the same act, right? Why do I know that? Because I can bring a Korban for
my children
who are Katanim. And do they have Das? Right, exactly. There's no das by katan.
Right, but
as ilama. So Amar Rav Elazar, Hifrish Pesach HaChavera lo asa klum. But the problem is we paskin that what? We paskin that you can't be mafresh a korban for someone without his das. Okay? Why? So Amar Rav Zera, sel leveis avos lav d'oraisa. What does that mean? Minoi is not d'oraisa. Right? Meaning that the idea of including katanim is not a d'oraisa idea.
So,
One second. If I can't bring, if mid'oraisa, I can't bring a korban for the katanim, and we're assuming the reason why is because they lack das, right? Meaning that it's against their daitan because they have no das. And certainly by my friend who does have das and he doesn't know what's going on, how could it ever work? It wouldn't work. But not d'oraisa. That's going to be Ishum Rochaim's going to be d'oraisa. Right, you haven't done anything.
Why not? You haven't done anything d'oraisa.
Oh, 1 second. No, because sorry. It's because the minoi of katanim is a special idea that only exists by Korban Pesach. That's what the Gemara is saying. Okay. Why by katanim? So now just let the Gemara finish. The Gemara says, why by katanim? Umimai midisnan ha'omer levanav harini shochet es Pesach. You like this, guys, right? I will shech the Pesach al mi sheyala meches. I'm sorry, sheyala mikem rishon l'Yerushalayim. All right, so he says to his kids, they're all katanim. Whoever reaches the walls of Yerushalayim first, right, gets the Korban Pesach. Okay, they're all katanim. Okay, so this is Keiman shehechnis rishon roshav rubo. The first person, excuse me, mikem Yerushalayim Keiman shehechnis rishon roshav rubo. And what's the barometer? Whoever gets their head and most of their body in is the winner. Okay, what do they get? Zacha b'chalko umezakes echav imo. So he gets the Korban Pesach, and he gets to give it out, a portion out to all the other brothers. Oh. So the Gemara says, 1 second. That's cute, right? V'amr sell buys d'oraisa, but if you sell buys d'oraisa, you can never do something like this. You can't do that because it says al bisrakai, right? Umazachi lahu. Because if you said if the katan, if it was really minui d'oraisa, then the katan couldn't do something like that. He would only be able to get that portion. He couldn't take it and apportion it to others. So therefore, it must be d'Rabbanan. So what's the purpose of it? So Ella lama lahu damar lahon avahon kadei lazarza mitzvos. Cute. So you want to get the kids. It's an amazing thing, by the way. It just shows you how disconnected we are from normative halacha. So you want to get the kids excited about Korban Pesach, about shechting an animal and eating it with all its glory. You do something like this. You send it. You make a race to Yerushalayim. Whoever gets there first, they gets to hand it out. I only wish we lived in such an era. Oh. But putting that aside, okay? So what's the upshot here? What's the upshot? What's the upshot here?
It's d'oraisa.
What's the point?
It's d'oraisa.
What are these two Gemaras telling you?
No, it's d'oraisa.
Well, even Machal is a stira, right? And this presents a serious problem to Rav Chaim.
Wait, time out. I still have.
Vashar Kanira. You want? Oh, go ahead. Read Vashar Kanira. Slowly.
Vashar al Kanira, and that therefore appears. Literally,
the Be'emes
Le'inyan Iker Din, in truth, in the matter of the Aminoi of the appointing of Kravas and the bringing a Korban Pesach of the Paschal offering. Sha'adam Shochet as Paschal al B'nei Beso V'Ktam, that a man can shacht his Pesach.
Okay, so what has he done at this point? Okay, well, just in those few words, what has he done? You got to appreciate the subtlety here, but it's just wild. What has he done at this point? Okay, in truth, when it comes to the Iker Din Minoi, and the idea, the notion of bringing the Korban Pesach, that a person can be shochet on his on Bino V'Do K'tanim. What?
Are they different?
Are they different? Although they sound synonymous, right? Doesn't the term Minoi sound exactly like Hakravas a Korban Pesach Adam Shochet Es Pesach Abino V'Dan Ketanim?
No,
but they're not. Shapir.
Has to understand.
I know.
What you're saying.
Shapir.
Shapir Havi Celabai Deraisa. So now it makes a lot of sense that Celabai is Deraisa.
In that framework, meaning what? Uminu Yav.
Mino Deraisa.
Okay, so which side is he choosing? Obviously. And the stira, he's got it, right? I mean, he's got no choice. Right. He's got to have to go to the Deraisa side, but he can't ignore the Rabbanan aspect because if he chooses the Rabbanan, then you close Rav Chaim. So what?
Here comes that section.
That section's about to come, right? So before we get to that, so now.
And I was equating Celebais and Minoi.
Oh, so you're saying so you have to say you have no choice but to say that in the realm of the substratum Hakravas Korban, where that minui is, that's deraisa. You can't get out of that. Okay, but ukumo.
Modus rabu vadin bahach to sell buys. Shiachol rabu nosen al pescho shalom edaton.
Oh, so you see what? Which is the Gemara Sachem, which is the one that says deraisa. The Gemara right afterwards says you're allowed to include. Okay, who else can you include through minui without their das? Your eved. Right. You can include your eved as part of your minui, even though he doesn't have, even though he's a bar das without his das. So what is that showing you? In which framework is this taking place? Which realm? The Deraisa realm. Okay.
Why do you say that from that?
Yeah.
Because he's saying
that's the last time, but he said that we just have to accept it.
What?
It could be their one idea.
Yeah.
These Sachen darf Pechas, Vadim. Okay.
Here you go. So of course, avadim, the minui of avadim is deraisa. It says pshita. Oh, now I gotta take a step back further. Okay, so you gotta. This is again. This is like insane complex. Okay, so I apologize, but in other words, think in order here. We know that he wants to establish that you can do minui on katanim shalomi daitan. Says, how do you know that? Because you see that from avadim. Right, you can be minu on your evet. Now, how do you know avadim? You can do minu on them. You can do nashim. Okay, assuming nashim are chayiv in Korban Pesach, which is machlokas, but assuming they are, minu work for them also against their das.
If they're chayiv in the Pesach midaraisa nashim,
No. In Cain, ha'heim chayav in Korban Pesach midvar Torah. Now, the afilu man da'amar nashim rishon rishus. Even if you want to hold that women themselves are chayiv in Korban Pesach.
How do you get down katan from nashim?
You'll see. Even if you want to say that women are here's the key point. Even if you want to say women are not chayiv, they're not chayiv. Sounds like who else isn't chayiv? Katanim, okay? Oh, but so since she's able to eat from the Korban Pesach, right? Even though she's not chayiv in it, right? But she's allowed to partake of it. And what realm does that exist in? That's in the Deraisa realm.
What?
Okay? Just translating what he's...
If not, it would not be part of
How could she eat it? In other words, she has to be part of the minoi.
Besides the Rabbanan idea of minoi.
We're in the Deraisa right now.
If he's gam ketanim de kabaseu is rabu bahach.
Disela bias. Disela bias. So the kata, the same way, an isha who's not obligated can be part of the minoi in the Deraisa framework. So too can a.
Even according to the opinion holds the Rishos.
Exactly. So too can a katan. Why not? So selabayis is rabu bahach to selabayis le'inyan sheyachol av l'nosan al pischa shalom edaitan. So the Torah is coming along to tell you that not just like a woman, all right, can be part of the minui. What?
How do we know a woman could be added?
That's a good question.
The same source as the katan probably.
Yes,
So
but
why? Okay.
all right. But the point, get to this far. But the point is that selabayis teaches you what? Selabayis tells you what? What does selabayis tell you? That it includes the katanim as well.
And avadim.
Okay, and avadim. You separate eved slash isha from katan. So clearly, good. So you're going to have to. He's threading the line very carefully here because you can't really compare a katan to an isha slash eved because an isha slash eved. Let's take an isha. All right, she's chayiv in all mitzvahs.
Oh, she's a bar chayuva. She's putter from.
She's a bar chayuva. She's putter from some.
You make the same conceptual thing. But the katan is also chayiv and everything. She's putter from all.
Okay. I don't know if he's going to say that, but. Let's keep going, okay? Keep going. No, it's not. Right. But one second. So now, now this answers the Deraisa framework. In other words, again, you mentioned dissection. So right now, what has he said so far? He said, okay, very nice. Minui exists in the substratum of Karvas Korban, right? And it's okay to have it there. Deraisa. Well, substratum means Deraisa, okay? And that's not a problem. Why? Because you can go ahead and do minui on people, even if they're not chayiv in the korban. Now, watch this. Okay,
I'm trying to find where he's. No, but
Good. Now comes the move, the dissection.
The celibias lav
Doraisa. What is that in reference to? Oh, that's just done. He just split the minui in half. He's saying that insofar as the phenomenon of minui, just factually, insofar as minui itself is concerned, so the minui can include katan. But insofar as, just again, le'inyan chiyuva, keep going, whatever that means, in the arena of obligation. So he says, right, the lo ichlalu. So the ketanim aren't part of the chiyuv Pesach.
Right.
No, careful. They're not part of the chiyuv Pesach, meaning that there's no obligation on he who is a bar chiyuva to include ketanim.
But there's a chiyuv derbanan, you saying?
Forget derbanan. What's a chiyuv derbanan? The chiyuv derbanan is what?
You're supposed to do
chinuch. That's not dinaminui though.
No, this is dinaminui.
There's no chova midoraisa on the baal to do minui for his kids. Yeah, but the only reason why you minui derbanan is for what purpose? Chinuch. That doesn't do with minui. Saying we'll allow minui to emerge so you can teach your kids. All right.
The av mechuyev lahakar pasum leim, and the av there's no chiyuv that the father has to bring a korban pesach.
Exactly. Okay. So what now? Just factually, what's the dissection? He's saying that in the substratum of hakravas korban, minui, right?
Word of the week.
Right. Yeah. In the minui substratum, hakravas korban, that's cool. Right? There is an idea that he's able to. There's an idea that naturally exists. He's sticking to that point. There's a natural deraisa. There's a natural principle midaraisa that naturally allows the katan to be part of it.
Of course.
But there's nothing that tells you that the gadol, the baal bayis, must do minoi. The chiyuv minoi. There's no chiyuv minoi that exists for the katan because exactly. The chiyuv minoi cannot exist because that would imply there's a chova on the katan, which can't be because he's not a bar chiyuva.
That means there's not a chiyuv. Finish our.
And what are we left with?
And we are left with
bedinam. I don't think it's the next page. It's on that page. Bedinam. Oh, so we're left with what? The katan's still la bar chiyuva. Avaha. Oh, but when it comes to the ikr din minoi, right, in that area, the Torah comes along and does what? Includes the katan. Okay? Which he can do minoi on them even though they don't das for it. Kevon. I'm sorry, Vizeo. Celibias,
give it to Ikr, even though they're not chayiv, they're allowed to eat it in any place. Give it to Ikr, then Hemino,
correct.
That makes sense because the pasuk doesn't say you have to do celibias; it's an option.
Right. Okay. So now let's go a little bit further. Okay. Right. Let's push a little. Is everybody just factually? Does everyone understand what he's doing right now? I'm not trying to define it yet.
Look, the factually is
so good.
Where is this?
Ubir hasugya.
Tell me the first one line.
I don't know because I have a different version than you. Uvir. Hasugya.
Sugya of the sugya. What's the English word for sugya?
Dinadarim. And you got to see what's bothering him. Okay, he's still not satisfied. Okay,
I wouldn't either be.
All right, Dinadarim.
Upir sugya dinadarim. The explanation of sugya dinadarim, which was Oshavanu that we brought. The lavi lo matzina the male of the adam may be korban pesach al chaver. Oh.
Shalom idaita. So now he's going to take that. Now he's going to get a little more into now. What's the issue? What's the issue by the ketanim? This issue of das. That's going to be the key thing now. Okay. So he says that right. That they tried to make a hekesh from one to the other.
The cell itself was lav deraisa.
And that's why they reject it.
Right.
Okay.
The Alpha the Lafi Mashin is bar Acre Dinamino Boss a Korban Pesach Shmev but Minovi took time that is Hobby deraisa.
Right, so even though we know that minoi exists, there is a deraisa minoi that brings them into the fold.
Let me just translate the Acre Dinamino of bringing a Korban Pesach for your daughters and sons and who are little kids is deraisa.
Great. Nira. Here we go. What's mechasuri kapara? Korbanos that
lacking
of kapara, meaning they're not brought for kapara. Thank you for atonement. Okay.
That's a weird way to say it.
That's the way Gemara describes it.
What about a
No, it's called mechasuri kapara. That's a term. So you have korbanos that are brought that have nothing to do with kapara. What's an example of that? Korban Pesach. Go on. Yes, don't know. Right. Halacha hey zal.
What? No.
Hilchos B'chsorei Kapara halacha hey.
The halacha?
No, Zelashono. Zelashono.
Was that far beyond me? We already explained that Ma'isa are Korbanos in the action of Korbanos. Shekol mechuve Korban ein makriven al yadan el midatin. If you're chayiv in the Korban, you can't bring it unless they have knowledge.
Right. Shekol. That's the right emphasis. Mechuyuve. In other words, if you're chayiv in a Korban, okay, if you're obligated in a Korban,
you have to bring it. You have to know. Either know.
You have to have das. You have to have das is being brought on your behalf.
To be yotze.
Exactly.
If you're not
Except for those. Why? So hare the mevor b'devi Rama.
The kol ikar haftina the ein adam maybe Korban al chavero shalom midato the din that you can't bring Korban to your friend without his das who rock ber kabanas chova.
Chova. It's because there's a status chova to it. The inyan.
The linen shiukra lechavaso tichin dafka das by.
That's a very intuitive idea. If you're going to tell me I'm obligated in something, I'm obligated to bring a korban, okay? And you're obligated to bring a korban, let's say. Let's make it simple, right? And you're going to bring the korban for me, all right? It's clear that what? I must know about that. I need das to discharge my obligation. If I don't know, I have to know about the obligation I'm discharging in order to discharge the obligation. Simple logic. What point is he stressing here?
Das. I thought he said who rock.
There's a flow. So what does he want to say? You want to say that if there's a he said this. If there's a chiyuv on the korban, okay, that's what you have to, that's the point you have to take it from there. If there's a chiyuv on the korban,
you need das, but not in dava.
Exactly. Okay. Correct.
You mean that as Ram said?
Correct.
That means not.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, if he's there,
that now a person can bring a Pesach for his friend. Shkein Adam, maybe Alban just like a man can bring for his son. Balbanos Vaktanim. Balkorhu Mishum Delafi Hasat the Daitach. The Havmin is a Celebias Midraisa. We used to think Celebias was a Chi of the Raisa.
Right.
Who saw that? This Rabuk Dan Be'ikar Din Pesach.
Right. Bigger din Pesach. Chi of Pesach. In other words, he's saying the Gemara's Havamina to say, it's a subtle point, but it's important. The Gemara's Havamina to say that the same way I can bring, remember the Gemara's Havamina, the same way I can bring a korban for my friend without his das. How do I know I could do that? Because I can bring the Pesach for my kids or Katanim. That's what the Gemara thought you could do, right? The fact that it thought that, why? Because it thought that the Katan would somehow be what? He'd be included in the Chovas Pesach.
Right.
But we know that he's not. Right? Shetzarach Yukra Pesach Aleim. Uba b'chova Katanim. So therefore, but that can't be. It can't be there's a chova on a Katan. That's absurd. You can't say that there's a chova on a Katan. Okay? What is he? Rav Chaim is so bothered by Mari Korkus because he's saying, and this is why, even though this is a lot longer than what the Mari Korkus writes, this is much simpler. Because he's saying that if you're going to tell me the Torah comes along and creates a reboy for the Katan, what do you therefore have to say, according to him? He's chayiv in it.
On the Katan.
Well, how can you say that? See, he wants to do everything in his power to show you that you can never say such a thing, because that would cause you to recreate the whole system of chiyuv. You don't want to go down that road. You don't want to go down that road. So he says, you have to appreciate what he's doing here. That's what the Gemara asked the question, right? The other maybe Pesach HaChaver Shlomi Daito. How could that be? The Zeud Mishani Gemara. The Zeud Lav Daraisa. Rotzalomar. So the Pesach that's being makar for them is not in the now. Let's get a little clear here. Not you gotta understand what he just did. B'Toras Korban Chova. Okay. Whoa. What does that mean?